expressed for the first time ever that we know of his interest in killing people, explaining how much it made him feel alive to kill people.
In his own words, I love the sweet, husky, close smell of indoor homicide.
Finding that book in his handwriting made the case come together.
Today, shocking new revelations into the mind of this serial killer doctor. We'll hear exclusively from the daughter of one of his victims in a little bit, but first let's dive deeper into this case. To help understand what would drive a doctor to kill, writer Kelly Kreth is here, who's been researching this case and actually been corresponding with Dr. Swango for the past 9 years. We also have special agent on the case, Tom Valerie. So Kelly, I'm intrigued by your voyage here. You were stimulated because you were interfacing with a sociopath in your own personal life.
Exactly.
You began to write serial killers, people who are sociopaths. Why did you pick Dr. Swango?
Initially, it took about 6 months to a year. I did thorough research. I was trying to find somebody who was incarcerated for life, so I'd be safe, who mimicked the traits of my own personal sociopath. So I was looking for somebody with an advanced degree, somebody with a very high IQ, and obviously Dr. Swango fits those two categories.
And he immediately began corresponding?
Yeah, I sent him a letter. He responded, and it went on from there.
Tom, tell us a bit more about Dr. Swango. In the United States, when Dr. Swango was killing patients, what kinds of patients were they? Were they infected
Most
patients?
of them were elderly. Some of them were terminally ill. Some of them were seriously ill with heart ailments.
But treatable problems?
Absolutely treatable. Absolutely treatable.
Kelly, Dr. Swango refused to be profiled by the FBI. So you probably have the best evidence about what kind of a man he is. You probably have observed patterns that none of us are aware of. So give us some insights into why he would target people with treatable problems.
With Dr. Swango in particular, while he's never discussed the why of his particular crimes, he has in general said that there's almost a euphoric feeling. That feeling that you and I have of guilt just doesn't resonate with a sociopath.
So I'm going to speak through an issue that's puzzling me. I'm going to show this all to you and see where you come down on this. So here's a timeline of Dr. Swango's troubled past. And this is the kind of information that really alarms me. So 1982, he's in med school. Due to poor performance, Swango had to repeat rotations. He did not graduate with his class. Fast forward 2 years down. First job in Ohio. Nurses report suspicions of Swango. They notice that they're healthy patients that are dying, what you just heard. Same year, he's arrested and charged with battery for poisoning co-workers. He's poisoning the other people working in the hospital. He serves 2 years for that, gets out of jail, right? And he hired in Virginia. He got another job. Counseling, listen carefully, medical students. Now he's teaching medical students, right? 1990, he's now changed his name because he's killing people, so he's hiding, forged documents, and then rehired as a doctor in South Dakota. You know why he left? Suspicious circumstances. 1983, hired in New York City, where you can come hide if you want. In 1996, after more suspicions, he left this country and began practicing in Zimbabwe overseas. Next year, thinking that he was above the law, which is something that I'm understanding now about how his mind works. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He's arrested as he tries to flee again. He's come back into the country, amazingly. 15 years from where this whole thing started, he was able to continue terrorizing and killing. So Tom, how's it possible he wasn't stopped earlier? Why was he able to get along with murdering innocent people and just jumping forward, just being a little bit ahead of the law?
He was a very cunning, decisive person. He also had a sixth sense of knowing the system, knowing the political system, knowing to the point that he would present to a hospital. If you don't let me continue my practice or my education, and you haven't warned me previously, I'm going to hire a lawyer and I'm going to sue you. Hospitals do not want the press.
This is the big issue for me, guys. We have to be braver. It is our responsibility to society as physicians, but this is true of all professions, to take care of the people. And you've got to police your own. And I think we are just too soft. We've been talking about the problems with the medical profession. It is really, really an issue. And 35 people died, possibly, because there was not enough people with guts to deal with it. Tom, how did it get caught?
What had happened is during a series of events, as you had reported, in 1993, I escorted him from the VA, from the facility he was at, okay? At that particular time, he left for points unknown.
He escaped.
He escaped.
He became a fugitive.
He became a fugitive. However, the charges were not terribly dramatic. He then appeared to us, was brought to our attention. He was arrested in Chicago, and he's never been out of jail since.
So there's a scrapbook. When he was arrested, he had a scrapbook that was confiscated. And here's an example. This is a really alarming excerpt. When I kill someone, this is his writing, when I kill someone, it's because I want to. It's the only way I have of reminding myself that I'm still alive. Oh my goodness. He seems to get a sick joy out of killing people. Is that your understanding of him?
We've never specifically discussed his feelings about killing people, so I can't tell you that he's told me that. But I think it's pretty apparent that feeling of euphoria is all-encompassing.
So one of the attorneys involved in the case, Edward Nickowitz, is here. So where's he now, Swango?
He's in a max facility in Colorado, and he's serving multiple life sentences. He's not going to see the light of day, that's for sure.
As someone who's led the charge against this man, do you think physicians should have to undergo psychiatric profiling prior to being allowed to practice?
I do. I think it's really critical and important that we know who are caring for our moms, our dads, our sons, our daughters.
Thank you for your work. You've written probably 1,000 letters to him now.
I would say upwards of 700, yes. 700.
So these are some of the letters, by the way. These are actually the handwritten letters. And these letters have been written to about 10 serial killers.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
What are you noticing? What does Swango have in common with the other people who have done this?
Well, I would say that there are distinct characteristics of sociopaths, and the ones I write to obviously fit them. They tend to be glib, charming, which we've mentioned. They really enjoy reckless behavior. They have trouble with conscience. They're very narcissistic. So I think that that's pretty much all of them across the board. These are the characteristics you'll notice.
Stunning. Stunning, and the fact that it can help you succeed in life, it makes it more damning. All right, up next, the daughter of one of his known victims is here. Plus, would you be able to spot a serial killer doctor? Stay with us. The killer is believed to have murdered as many as 35 patients during his time as a physician. Michael would administer toxic substances to his sick patients. He went undetected for years, but a trail of death followed him everywhere he went. We're back with True Crime Tuesday and the shocking case of a serial killer doctor who's believed to have murdered 35 people. Mary Kelly Kreth is back, and Carol Fisher also joins us. Her father died at the hands of Dr. Swango. So you remember him?
Yes, I do.
What were your first impressions?
Well, when we first met him, he was a nice-looking young doctor, soft-spoken, made everything very easy when he spoke with me and my mother. You know, but after a while, I was not comfortable with him because he met us every single night in ICU. And he kept asking my mother to sign a do not resuscitate. And finally I said to him, why? Why every day? And then after that, he didn't come back. And then the one night that we didn't show up was when my father died.
I'm sorry. Did your father have any suspicions of Swango or anything else that was going on around him?
Well, we would go up and see him every night. He was only there for like a checkup. They were deciding if they were going to do an angioblast on him. And every time we went in there,
He was there for a checkup?
yes.
Oh my, it's terrible.
And, you know, when we'd go up and see him, he would tell us that there was a young doctor that would come to his door every night with a medical cart, and the doctor kept pointing at him and telling him, "You're next." And we thought my father was hallucinating, and I kept asking the hospital, you know, what kind of medication are you giving him? You know, why is he like this? And then one day when we went up there, he was yelling and screaming, and they put him in ICU. They said he had a staph infection in the brain.
A staph infection?
Yeah,
So that's why they think he died?
that's what they originally said.
So take me back to the moment, if you don't mind, when you learned your father had actually been murdered. How did that come about?
Well, it was a shock. My mother had called me. I was at work, and she was like, "There's somebody at the door. They want to talk to us about Dad." I was like, "Don't let him in. Tell him come back at 6 o'clock when I'm home from work." And at 6 o'clock, Tom Valerie was there, and he...
Special agent we just spoke with.
Yes, and he explained to us that there was some foul play at the hospital. They thought there was, and that they wanted to exhume my father's body. And my father had already been dead 7 years.
There he is.
So,
Cheerful looking.
yeah, that's
And
dead.
when they looked at his body, they found...
They exhumed his body, and they found that he had been injected with some kind of chemical. I can't remember the name of it. It was something like succinylcholine chloride or something.
Yes. They're a paralytic agent. Succinylcholine.
Okay, that's it.
Probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, I just can't believe this could actually happen.
Yeah, we couldn't believe it was happening.
So what was it like realizing that this doctor, sort of creepy at a certain point doctor, was responsible, played an active role in killing your dad, and no one could figure that out?
No one could figure it out. We thought my father was just hallucinating when he was telling us these things. And then, you know, when he died, it was like, oh my God, he was right. He was telling us this, and, you know, then along comes all the guilt feelings and everything for not believing him.
Let's change that now.
Okay.
Let's talk about the red flags. I want you all to be able to spot them, so you don't get a serial killer doctor coming down at you. But sociopaths are around us. I'm learning more and more about it this season. So I'm going to bring in Kelly. You know, you've been writing about sociopaths and serial killers in particular. You've been writing letters to them over the past 9 years. So educate us, again, through your letters. What should we be looking for in serial killers?
Well, I think that, number one, we talked about that kind of superficial charm, but what Carol was saying is really on the mark. When you have that uneasy feeling that, you know, something just isn't quite right, always go with your gut. If you feel like something's wrong, no matter who the person is, go with your gut, because a life could certainly be saved.
Thanks to all my guests. I appreciate coming on. We're ready.